Now moving on to the next segment where I am doing the rotational EMF. So what you learned that first is if the rod is moving, if the rod is moving, the rod is in translation, then there is a potential difference. Now I am saying the rod is moving, that means it is in rotation. So whenever the rod is rotating, so rotation is taking place about a fixed point. So this is the fixed point about which the rod is being rotating. So this fixed point is called the hinge point or the pivot point. Okay. So first of all, you have to understand which one is the pivot point. So taking that point as a fixed one, you can take the potential difference. Okay, so whenever I am writing the potential difference between the 2 points on the rod itself, that is 1 point must be the pivot point. Otherwise, I cannot write the expression. Okay, so I want to derive this. So let us say the entire rod is rotating about this point A. So point A is our pivot point. Okay, so let us say it is rotating with an angular speed of omega. So if I move by a distance of x and take the element dx, so for this dx element, the dx element is moving in this direction with a velocity of r omega, that is omega into x, that is the velocity. Okay, that is the v naught vector. So that is the velocity vector for the small element. So now I am saying the small element is moving in this direction with a velocity v naught. Now take the cross product, v naught cross b related towards the left hand side. That is a become the positive side, b become the negative side. Okay. So for the small element, what is that potential difference dV? It can be written as BVL. So B is constant number. V is how much omega into x. And what is L? L is dx. So this is a small potential difference created across the element. So if I take the integration, so that will be the V value. That is the potential difference between A and B. That is nothing but the integration of dV. That should be equals to B omega integration of x dx. So ultimately what I am getting is the length is L. So 0 to L. So ultimately B omega L square by 2. So that is the formula for the rotational EMF. EMF due to rotation of the rod. So once the rod is rotating, I am applying the same formula with some modification because now the V naught is in terms of omega, not the linear component. It is the angular component of velocity that comes in the picture. So corresponding to that, I get the expression V omega L square by 2. That means out of these 2 points A and B, so mind it that A is a fixed point. A is a fixed point. So every time I have to find the one fixed point and about that I can write this expression. V omega L square by 2 is the expression of the rotational EMF and that can be applied about one fixed point. So that is the expression for the epsilon. So entire thing can be replaced by a high potential side battery and low potential side battery like this way. Okay, so instead of moving the rod, what I can say the rod is acting like a battery. So whose potential difference or EMF is equals to V omega L square by 2 and that is again the induced EMF that is due to rotation. All the EMF that I am going to discuss over here are called the induced EMF. So this is the induced EMF due to rotation. So first one was the induced EMF due to translation or okay. Let us say there is a rod. A, B, C, D are the different points marked on the rod and total length of the rod is given as 2L. So C is the point which is the pivot point. Okay. So you are asked to calculate the potential difference between E and C. So first check whether there is one point C is written over there or not. Yes, C is written. So once the CEN, if you closely look at CEN and depending on the direction of the omega, so CEN, all the points on the CE surface or CEN are moving in the downward direction. So this is the V vector for the CEN. If I take the V downward and dot as the magnetic field, so C will be the high potential side. Nah. So C will be the high potential side. So answer will be GE minus VC should be negative 1. That will be for the rod CE. If I take the rod CE, C is the fixed point. C is the fixed point, E is this point. And the rod is moving in this direction with an omega. So all the points are moving downward. So this is the velocity vector direction. So if I take V cross B, so V cross B, palm faces towards point C. So ultimately our answer is VC minus V. Why? Because C is the high potential side, E is the low potential side. But you are asked to calculate V minus VC, so your answer should be the negative side. So what is the formula? B omega L square by 2. And what is the length? Length is CE, length is L. So simply B omega L square by 2. Now A and C. For A and C, all the points on the side A and C are moving with upward direction because this is the direction of velocity. Okay. So if I take V upward and V dot, again the palm is facing towards our C point. So C is acting as the positive side, A is acting as the negative side. A is acting on the negative side, C is acting on the positive side. So again Vc minus Va. Again this number will be negative. Answer is B omega L square by 2. Okay, answer is B omega L square by 2. Now between A and E. Yeah, between A and E. So if we subtract these two numbers, so let us say this is equation number 1 and equation number 2. If I subtract 1 and 2, answer is 0. That means all the end points are with the same potential. Whenever I rotate a rod, the end points are always on the same potential. VA minus VE is always equal to 0. Now VC minus VD. Now D is the midpoint of the C. So for this CD length, that length should be equal to L by 2. That length is L by 2. Again, C is the high potential side, so answer is positive. So B omega L. L is how much? L by 2. L square by 2. That means B omega L square by 8. That will be your answer. Okay. VD minus V, D minus E. So once you so you cannot directly got this result. It am directly why? Because none of the points are fixed point. So once I got the result for, let us say I am getting the equation number 3 and 4. Okay. If I subtract 3 to 4, if I subtract not 3, you take C and VD and VE. So VD and VE means equation number 2. So if you subtract equation 2 to 4, equation 2 to 4, so VE minus VC, so I am subtracting 2 to 4. So what I am getting? VE minus VC minus VC plus VD. Then VC add VE minus VC minus VC. So you add these two. Add these two. Now, ভুল হয়ে যাচ্ছে যে কি করলাম বলতো ভুল করেছি 2 plus 4 করলে হয়ে যাচ্ছে কি 2 plus 4 করলেই হয়ে যাচ্ছে হ্যাঁ 2 plus 4 আমি সেন্টার উল্টো নিই 2 টাকে 4 এর সাথে অ্যাড করে দেব সো 2 and 4 means ultimately কত পাচ্ছি বলতো VE minus VD পাচ্ছি VE minus VD পাচ্ছি দ্যাটস ইকুয়াল টু হাউ মাচ 2 plus 4 করলে B omega L square by 8 B omega L square by 8 minus B omega L square by 2 B omega L square by 2 that means 4 by 8 minus 3 by 8 B omega L square. Okay, B omega L square. The answer টা এসে গেল কার E minus D তোকে D minus D বের করতে বলেছে the answer is plus 3 by 8 B omega L square এইভাবে বের করতে হবে okay so whenever I have to calculate the rotational EMF one point must be the pivot point then only I can apply the formula B omega L square by 2 what is the L? L is the distance between the 2 points কোনটা 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 VA minus VE কোনটা এইটা এটা 0 হলো কেন দুটোকে বিয়োগ করে দেব এই 1 থেকে 2 কে কোথায় আসছে কোথায় আসছে সি আর ই এর মধ্যে কোনটা হাই পোটেনশিয়াল সিটা হাই পোটেনশিয়াল না এ ইজ দ্য লো ই ইজ দ্য লো পোটেনশিয়াল সাইড আর এ আর সি এর মধ্যে সি ইজ দ্য হাই পোটেনশিয়াল এ ইজ দ্য লো পোটেনশিয়াল সো পোটেনশিয়াল at point A and potential at point E will always be equal ওকে অঙ্কগুলো দেখিয়ে দিলাম তো আমি যখন ই মাইনাস সি করছি করা যাবে না তো পুরো নোটটা একসাথে করা যাবে না তো বাবা আমি তো বারবার করে বলছি আমি যখন দুটো পয়েন্ট আইডেন্টিফাই করলাম আউট অফ দিস 2 পয়েন্ট 1 পয়েন্ট মাস্ট বি দ্য পিভট পয়েন্ট পুরো রডটা যদি এ আর ই যদি একসাথে ধরি তাহলে এদের মধ্যে কোন কি পিভট পয়েন্ট আছে নেই ঠিক আছে এ আর ই এর মধ্যে একটাও কি পিভট পয়েন্ট না অনলি সি ইজ দ্য পিভট পয়েন্ট না সো ইন ইচ এন্ড এভরি এক্সপ্রেশন সি মাস্ট বি দেয়ার সি থাকতেই হবে তবে লিখতে পারবো আদারওয়াইজ লিখতে পারবো না আদারওয়াইজ যদি আমাকে লিখতে হয় তাহলে দুটো থেকে সাপারেট করে দেওয়া অ্যাড করে কিছু করে বের করতে হবে ডাইরেক্টলি লেখা যাবে না বুঝতে পেরেছিস দুটো পয়েন্টের মধ্যে একটা পয়েন্টকে বিভট হতে হবে সিমিলারলি রোটেশন অফ কয়েল হ্যাঁ সো রোটেশন অফ কয়েল যদি করে রড ছেড়ে রোটেশন অফ কয়েল করি এক্স্যাক্টলি সেম ফর্মুলা হ্যাঁ exactly same formula why because instead of taking this as the wheel can I take any 2 point? If I join any 2 point, or 2 point mark করলাম, 2 point join করলাম এরকম করে, and এইখানটা pivot করে দিলাম C পয়েন্টটাকে. So that means I am rotating a rod AB about this with an omega. Okay, that means there is a potential difference between A and B is always equal to 0. Potential difference between A and B is always equal to 0 because these are the circumferential point. আমি যদি এরকম একটা রডকে নিয়ে আমি কি দেখলাম, এই পয়েন্ট সি হয়ে থাকে, এই পয়েন্ট এ হয়ে থাকে, এটাকে বি বলে থাকি. If I rotate the rod in this direction or any other direction, so potential difference at point A and B is always going to be 0. Okay, so what is the formula then? Potential difference between any circumferential point and the pivot point, between the center and any point on the circumference. And C is going to be always the high potential side, center high potential হবে. And on other point, let us say এই নাম্বারটা কেমন করে লিখবো, VA minus VC লিখবো. বোঝা গেছে? শুনতে পাচ্ছি? ওকে, অলওয়েজ আমরা সবসময় ধরবো যে C is the high potential side or A is the low potential side. So potential difference between any 2 point on the circumferential point যদি হয়ে গিয়ে থাকে, that is always equals. Okay, exactly same formula can be explained for the disk also. Potential difference between the center and any point of the circumference, B omega r square by 2. B omega r square by 2. Instead of taking L, এখানে আমরা r বলে ইউজ করছি, এখানে যখন r লিখেছি, instead of taking L, এখানে আমরা r লিখছি. So exactly same formula can be applied for the disk, can be applied for the ring, can be applied for the rod. So same formula এখানে অ্যাপ্লাই করা যায়. ওকে, বোঝা গেছে? এটা কর দেখি. So this length is 2L. This length is L. Okay. So pivot point is O point. Let us say is the A point. Let us say is the B point. Okay. So potential difference between A and O is how much? B omega L square by 2. Now potential difference between VA minus VO. That should be equal to B omega L is how much? 2L whole square by 2. That is B omega L square. Between B and O, VB minus VO, that should be equal to B omega. Now the length is 3L. So 3L whole square by 2. That is 4.5. 4.5 B omega L square. So you are asked to calculate the potential difference between the ends of the rod. That means A and B. Okay, A and B. So take the difference. So VB minus VA, VB minus VA should be how much? 3.5. Okay, 4.5 minus 1 is 3.5 B omega L square. 7 by 2. ভুল করেছি, হ্যাঁ? কোথায় 2 হবে বলতো? কেন 2 হবে? কোথায় 4 by 2 আছে? B omega প্রথমটা 2 হবে, রাইট? এখানে 2 হবে, সো এর 4.5. তো 4.5 minus 2 means 2.5, মানে 5 by 2. না, এটা 5 by 2. আজ এই ক্যালকুলেশন খারাপ হচ্ছে, বড্ড ভুল হচ্ছে. So VB minus V is 5 by 2 B omega L square means option number D. Okay. So let us say this. So equilateral triangular conducting frame is rotated with an angular velocity omega in a uniform magnetic field B as shown. B is cross. Side of the length is L. Choose the correct option. So now B is the fixed point. B is the pivot point. About B, once I rotate the loop, so if I say the C minus B, VC minus VB, so or VB minus VC, and এখানে সব এগুলো দেওয়া হয়েছে. So potential difference between C and B যদি করতাম, so particles or points are moving in this direction V. So V cross B means C is the high potential side. So VC minus VB is how much? B omega L square by 2. ঠিক আছে, VC minus VB. Similarly, VA minus VB. So here the velocity is in this direction. So V cross B, A is the high potential side. So VA minus VB, that should be again B omega L square by 2. এবার এদেরকে যদি বিয়োগ করে দিই, so VA minus VC পাবো আমরা. So what is the potential difference? If I subtract this, তাহলে আলটিমেটলি 0 হচ্ছে, দেখ VA minus VC 0 হলো তো নাকি? হ্যাঁ, VA minus VC 0, VA minus VC এটা ভুল, VA minus VB B omega L square by 2, এটা অলসো কারেক্ট. ঠিক করলাম তো, VA minus VB B omega L square by 2. VC minus VB is also, না এটা ভুল, বোঝা গেছে? সি ইজ হাই পোটেনশিয়াল হচ্ছে, সিটা হাই পোটেনশিয়াল কেন হচ্ছে, এটা কেন হাই পোটেনশিয়াল হচ্ছে, এটা কি বোঝা গেছে পরিষ্কার করে? বোঝা গেছে তো? ঠিক আছে, তাহলে অপশন এ আর সিটা কারেক্ট. মাল্টিপল কারেক্ট ছিল এটা. সিমিলারলি এরকম একটা গল্প রয়েছে. ওকে, the conducting rod of length L is hinged at point O. It is free to rotate in vertical plane. The rod is released from the position shown. The potential difference between the two ends of the rod is proportional to what? Okay, as the rod moves, the omega is changing. So let us say the rod is moved by theta position. So what is the center of mass? Center of mass is over here. এখন এইখানে নেমে থেকে what is the displacement of the center of mass? এইটা হয়ে গেছে L by 2 sin theta. না, L by 2 sin theta. So L by 2 sin theta is the drop in potential energy. That is equal to gain in kinetic energy. So mg L by 2 sin theta is the drop in potential energy. That is equal to gain in kinetic energy. That is equal to half I omega square. Okay. Now what is I? I is equal to ml square by 3. Rod is hinged at the end point, so I should be equal to ml square by 3 into omega square. So ultimately omega square is equals to কি হচ্ছে, mm কাটছে 2 কাটছে 3 gl sin theta by l square এরকম হলো. So ultimately 3g sin theta by l is the omega square number. Okay, so at an instant, এই ইনস্ট্যান্টে যখন আছে, the rod is moving with an angular speed omega, so corresponding all the points are in this direction velocity v. So v cross b, that means the end point A is high potential side. So VA minus VO should be equal to B omega L square by 2. Okay. Now what is B? B is B. L square is L square by 2. And what is omega? Omega is 3G sin theta by L root. So it is proportional to what? Sin theta and L also. No, L থাকছে একটা. L to the power 3 by 2. না, L to the power 3 by 2 is correct one. L to the power 3 by 2 and also proportional root of sin theta. ঠিক করলাম, দেখেন একবার, L to the power 3 by 2 and sin theta root. So this is the two parameter on which the potential difference changing. Exact formula যদি বের করতে তাহলে এইটা হবে তার exact আনসারটা. ওকে, এগুলো করে এরকম করে, এগুলো করার লজিক হচ্ছে এইভাবে. Similarly rolling. Okay, so where ring of radius r is in pure rolling condition. So where is rolling? In a pure rolling condition on a surface, find the EMF induced at the top and the bottom point of the ring at any instant. So whenever the pure rolling condition is there, so I assume that B is the fixed point. B is not moving. So B is the fixed point. So across about point B, all the points are rotating. So you are asked to calculate the top and bottom point. So between A and B. So if I replace this circular wire by a rod of length 2r, so can I say this rod 2r is moving, 2r length is moving with omega about this fixed point. So B is the fixed point. So rod of length 2r is moving with omega speed. What is omega? Omega equals to V by r for pure rolling condition. So what is the potential difference? Potential difference, velocity is in this direction. B is cross. So V cross B means A is the high potential side. So VA minus VV should be equal to B omega L square by 2. So B omega L square means 2R whole square by 2. That means 2B omega R square. That is the potential difference. That is the potential difference. So if I change the position, so let us say I take 1 point over here. So now this is the C point. So what is the potential difference between C and B and C? So I assume this is the rod whose length is equal to R root 2, which is moving with an omega. Okay. So again CB rod moving with R root 2 length, R root 2 length moving with same omega. What is the potential difference that you can calculate? Okay. So for pure rolling condition, we will say that B is the fixed point and above that fixed point all the points are moving. Now there are two metallic ring of radius R are on rolling on a metallic rod. Magnetic field of B is being applied in the region. The magnitude of potential difference between point A and C on the two ring. One point is C over here, another point is A over here for the two different ring. And for both the ring, দুটো ring এর জন্যই বলবো যে this is the point. Let us say B1 point is the fixed point. Let us say B2 is the fixed point. About point B1 and B2, two rods are rotating. So if I say this is a rod, one rod of length 2r, another rod of length 2r is rotating in a direction. For this rod, rotation is in this direction. For this rod, rotation is in this direction. Because the rod is moving in this direction, so omega is in this direction. Okay. So for this situation, the V is in this direction. So V cross B means V is the high potential side. V1 is the, so potential difference between V1 minus Vt, that should be equal to B omega 2r whole square by 2. That means B omega into 2B omega r square. For the second rod, V is on the right hand direction. So V cross B means A is the high potential side. So VA minus VB2, that should be equal to B again 2B omega r square. Okay. So you are asked to calculate the potential difference between C and A and C. A and C. So take this minus this. So VB1, VB2 both are in the same potential. VB1, VB2 both are in the same potential. So ultimately, so if I say VB1, VB2 are the zero potential point, so it is 0 boldi, eta ko 0 bolbo. Okay. So if I take VA minus VC, so ultimately if we add these two numbers, so VA minus VC, that should be equal to 4V omega r square. That will be your answer. Okay. Because V1, V2 are the fixed point. V1, V2 are the fixed point. Dimension is also same. So I can take both are the same potential. Same potential, any number you can. Either you can put 0 or 10 or 20. Jai kori na keno, once I add these two numbers, then automatically VB1 or VB2 will cancel. So ultimately we are left with VA minus VC, that is equal to 4V omega r square. বোঝা গেল? এগুলো করতে পারবে, তো করলাম। এইটাও করে দিয়েছি, অঙ্কটা এখানে ছিল, এখানে করে দিয়েছি। হ্যাঁ, সো রড ইজ মুভিং here. So there is a loop PQRS of side A. Resistance of the loop is R, is placed in a near an infinite long long wire carrying constant current of I. The side PQ and RS are parallel to the wire. The wire and the loop are in the same plane. The loop is rotated by 180 degree about an axis parallel to the long wire. So about an axis, it is being rotated by an angle of 180 degree about an axis parallel to the long wire and passing to the midpoint of the side QR and PLs. So QR and PL mean about this axis. The axis is okay, about this vertical axis. So the total amount of charge which passes through any point of the loop during the rotation phase. So total amount of charge বের করতে হলে করতে হবে total flux কে বের করতে হবে, change in flux. Change in flux. So initially, if I say this is the position of the loop, initially this is the position of the loop. So what is the total flux crossing through this loop? If I take an element of distance x, take an element like this. Okay. So about this rectangular strip, what is the total flux? So if I say d phi number, so d phi should be equal to B into dA. B into dA. Now what is dA? dA should be equal to A into dx. Now B into A dA. So B into A dx. What is B? B should be equal to mu naught I by 2 pi x into A into dx. So integration of that is the total flux. Integration of that will give the total flux. So initially what I say that initially I assume that I produce the magnetic field in this direction cross. So I also assume that A is in the cross direction. Okay. Initially we assume that A is in the cross direction. So corresponding to that B dot A dx, ultimately answer will be equals to mu naught I A by 2 pi ln x. What is the limit of x? X is from A to 2A. Limit is from A to 2A. That means ln 2. Okay, so mu naught I A by 2 pi into ln 2 is the initial flux. So what we got, that initial flux equals to mu naught I A by 2 pi into ln 2. What is the final position? So final position of the loop is such that it is being rotated by an angle 180 degree. So once I rotate it by angle 150 degree, then A becomes dot. Now, once I rotate the loop by the angle 150 degree, now the area vector becomes dot. B still remain cross. So flux becomes how? B dot A. So ultimately it is negative sign. So phi final should be equal to same value, that is equals to minus mu naught IA by 2 pi ln 2 with a minus sign. Okay? So what is the total change in flux? Delta phi should be equal to final minus initial. Okay. Delta phi equals to final minus initial. So ultimately it becomes mu naught IA by pi into ln 2. Okay, so this is the total flux change. And correspondingly, what is the charge flown? That is equals to delta phi by radius. Not radius, resistance. So delta Q, total charge flown, that is equals to delta phi by small r. Small r they divide করলে কি পাচ্ছি mu naught IA by pi into r into ln 2. Mu naught IA pi r by ln 2, option B. বোঝা গেল কি করলাম? লাস্টের পয়েন্টটা কি হয়েছে? ইনিশিয়ালি আমি ধরে নিয়েছি যে ফর দ্যাট আই, এইখানে ডিরেকশন কিন্তু খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট, ধরাটা। হ্যাঁ, এই ধরাটা কেমন করে ধরছি? আমরা জানি যে আইটা যেমন করে দেখানো রয়েছে, অ্যাকর্ডিং টু দ্যাট উইদিন দ্যাট পার্টিকুলার স্কোয়ার লুপ দ্য ডিরেকশন অফ দ্য ম্যাগনেটিক ফিল্ড ইজ ক্রস, তাই তো? এবার আমরা ধরলাম কি এটাও ক্রস আছে, তার মানে কি এখন বলবো যে বি অ্যান্ড এ আর প্যারাল টু ইচ আদার। সো হোয়াট ইজ দ্য ডিফাই নাম্বার? বি ডট ডিএ হয়। হ্যাঁ, ডিফাই ইজ বি ডট ডিএ। সো করসপন্ডিংলি ডিফাই ইজ cos 0. So dot product যখন করছি cos 0 মানে +1. So +1 ধরে নিয়ে আনসারটা বের করলাম, this is the answer. Okay, now once the loop is rotated by 180 degree about an axis parallel to the long wire, so now the orientation of the loop is same, remaining same. Only thing is that area vector which was initially crossed, if I rotate the area vector by 180 degree, it becomes dot. এটা হবে তো নাকি? একটা vector which is crossed initially, if I rotate that vector by 180 degree, it becomes dot. ঠিক তো নাকি? হ্যাঁ, so now the angle between the area vector and the B vector is 180 degree. So once you do the flux calculation, inside that flux calculation আমাকে একটা cos আনতে হবে, cos 180. So cos 180 become minus 1. So that means final flux will be the same answer. এই answer repeat করে দিয়েছি দেখ, with a negative sign. এখানে নেগেটিভ সাইন বসে দিচ্ছি। Now what is the change in flux? That is delta phi final minus initial. Forget about the negative sign. Forget about the negative sign, because taking the mode of the delta phi, I am getting the total change in flux. So mu naught IA by pi into ln 2. আগে 2 pi ছিল, 2 দিয়ে মাল্টিপ্লাই করি, 2টা কেটে গেল। So this is the total change in flux that takes place across the loop. Once I divide this with the R number, R is what? R is the loop resistance. It is given. And loop resistance is R. So once I divide this with the loop resistance, that means I am getting the total charge flown through that loop. বোঝা গেছে? টোটাল চার্জ ফ্লো থ্রু দ্যাট লুপ, এইভাবে বের করতে হবে। ওকে, আমার কি ভয়েসটা কম আসছে নাকি রে? আমার এই হেডফোনটা খারাপ হয়ে গেছে, আমি এখন ব্লুটুথ দেওয়া হেডফোন ইউজ করছি, চার্জ আউট হয়ে গেছে, এত তাড়াতাড়ি কিছু কাজ করতে পারছি না। এগেন loop ABCD is moving away from an infinite wire carrying current I as shown in figure, which means the net EMF produced in the loop. Net EMF. So if I say this is the ABCD is the loop, ABCD, so I simply say that both BC and AD are not producing any kind of EMF. Why? Because BC, for this BC, L vector is parallel to V vector, and for AD also, L vector is parallel to V vector. So these two wires are not producing any kind of EMF. So only the EMF is being produced by AB and DC. So for AB wire, what is the EMF produced? Because on all the points on the AB wire, can I say B is cross, and that cross magnitude is same? That is equal to mu naught I by 2 pi x. Okay. So if the cross magnetic field moving in this direction V, so ultimately what I am getting, that A is the highest potential, B is the lowest potential. So what is VA minus VB? So VA minus VB, that should be equal to DVL. So mu naught I by 2 pi x. B is V and L is how much L? So this is the potential difference between A and B. Similarly, potential difference between D and C. Okay, D and C. There is again same type of battery. Again, the answer for VD minus VC should be equal to B. Now, what is B? B should be equal to X plus A, mu naught I, hereby not X plus L, X plus B, 2 pi. Because DC wire is at a distance of X plus B from this current carrying wire. So, mu naught I by 2 pi L into G into L. That is the potential difference. Okay. Now, for the entire ABCD wire, so there is one battery across this AB, there is another battery across this DC. Let us say this number I am getting is epsilon 1, and this number, let us say I am representing by epsilon 2. So this is the epsilon 1 battery, this is the epsilon 2 battery. Now clearly it has been observed that epsilon 1 is greater than epsilon 2. So net effective battery should be equals to epsilon 1 minus epsilon 2. Okay. So effective epsilon should be equals to 1 minus 2. Epsilon effective should be equals to epsilon 1 minus epsilon 2. So this number minus that number. Okay. So mu naught I into VL by 2 pi take common. So 1 by x minus 1 by B plus x. So B plus x minus, so B divided by product. So mu naught I VL into B divided by 2 pi x into x plus B. B option টা হচ্ছে এখানে দেখে নিতে থাকবো বাবা। ডিনোমিনেটর ইজ ম্যাচিং 2 pi x into x plus B, ঠিক আছে। উপরটা হচ্ছে শুধুমাত্র B পড়ে থাকছে, B আছে, ঠিক আছে, অপশন বি দিতে কারেক্ট হবে। বোঝা গেল কি করলাম? So AD wire, BC wire are not giving any kind of, so here the epsilon is 0, এখানে 0 রয়েছে, এখানে 0 রয়েছে, because this wire are moving parallel to the direction of rotatory component. So only thing we have to take care about the epsilon 1 and epsilon 2 number and take the difference, because these two are opposing each other. Epsilon 1 tries to flow the current in this direction, এটা যে I1 দেবে আর এইটা I2 দেবে। Clearly the magnitude of I1 is more than I2, so entire current will flow in this direction, I net, I effective. Okay. So you can calculate what is the current flowing through this loop also. Okay. What is the current flowing through this loop, you can also calculate. Okay. ঠিক আছে, এগুলো করা যাবে। So semicircular ring, loop of radius R hinge at point rotating at angular speed omega, point O is located on the boundary of the uniform magnetic field. Take theta equals to 0 degree and t equals to, what is the EMF induced in this loop? Theta equals to 0 degree at t equals to 0 degree. T equals to 0. What is the induced EMF in this loop? So once the loop is entering inside this, so gradually what is happening? The area is increased. So what is the area at any time t? At any time t, so what is the area of this sector? Half theta into r square. Area should be equal to half theta into r square. Now what is theta? Theta equals to omega into t into r square. Okay. So that is the area. So correspondingly phi should be equal to how much? B into half omega t into r square. That is the phi number. So phi is changing with respect to time. That means d phi dt will give the value of induced EMF. d phi dt. So d phi dt করলাম তাহলে b omega r square by 2. b omega r square by 2, option A, option B. What is the induced EMF? এখানে r বলেনি, এখানে A বলেছে, যাই হোক হয়েছে, বোঝা গেল কি? So once I enter inside the magnetic field, gradually the area will change. Because the change in area, so ultimately the induced EMF will produce. So induced EMF will produce until and unless the entire loop is inside. So initially at t equals to 0, loop starts to enter. So after how much time, the shape of the loop will be like this. পুরোটা ঢুকে গেছে এইদিকে. How much time? So for that, theta should be equals to how much? Theta should be equals to pi. Theta should be equals to pi. So if theta equals to pi, that should be equals to omega into t. So what is the t number? That t equals to theta pi by omega. So after pi by omega time, the entire loop will be inside the magnetic. So starting from 0 time to pi by omega time, can I say in this time the area is increasing gradually? Area is increasing from 0 to pi by omega. So once the area is increasing between 0 to pi by omega, can I say that epsilon induced will also increase? Not increase, epsilon induced will remain constant. But I can say phi is also changing, phi is also increased. Phi will also increase. No, phi will also increase. But since the variation is constant, so epsilon induced become constant, so epsilon induced is there, and that number is constant. Correspondingly, current flowing through this is also constant. I is constant. But once I am moving out of this situation, then the area is decreasing. So flux is decreasing. So now the current will flow in the opposite direction. In this direction, the current will flow. Once I enter inside the magnetic field, so the area will increase, that the cross magnetic field will increase. So it will induce the current in such a way so that within the loop, the dot magnetic field will be increased. So that means the loop will produce a current in this direction. Okay, in the anticlockwise direction. So once the loop is entering, and once the loop is coming out, then it should be enter the current in the same direction. That is in the clockwise direction. Because যখন বের করে নিয়ে আসছি, once the loop is coming out of the magnetic field, the area is going to decrease. Once the area is decreasing, that is phi is decreasing. What kind of phi? Cross. Cross B is decreasing. So reverse effect or opposing effect is increasing cross. So increasing cross means you have to rotate the, flow the current in the clockwise direction. So once the loop is coming out from this magnetic field, I will be in the clockwise direction. Once the loop is going inside, I will be in the anti-clockwise direction. Okay. So there is a change in sign of the I also. There is a change in sign of the flux also. Either flux is increasing or flux is decreasing. বোঝা গেল? এইটাতে কিন্তু এটা অ্যাডভান্সের কোশ্চেন ছিল, অনেকদিন আগের কথা বলছি। এটা কিন্তু প্লটটা ছিল, এই প্লটটা দিয়ে নিয়ে এখানে প্লট মানে কি, হাউ দ্য কারেন্ট ইজ ভ্যারিং, অ্যান্ড হাউ দ্য পাই ইজ চেঞ্জ, এই দুটো প্লট করতে দিয়েছিল। এই দুটো প্লট করতে, বোঝা গেল? এগুলো করা যায় এখানে। বুঝতে পারি প্লটিংটা কেমন হয়, বোঝা গেছে কি? আমি যদি epsilon induced প্লট করতাম, তা কেমন হতো? ধর বললাম বিটুইন 0 to pi by omega একটা টাইম দেবো, তারপর পাই থেকে 2 pi by omega একটা টাইম হবে, 3 pi by omega. So between 0 to pi by omega, if I say epsilon induced is positive, why? Clockwise, anti-clockwise current is flowing there. পরেরটা কি হয়? Clockwise current, so epsilon induced will be the negative sense. পরেরটা আবার পজিটিভ হবে। So like this way, this is the variation of the epsilon induced. বোঝা গেছে কেন উপর নিচে দেখাচ্ছি? তার কারণ হচ্ছে ব্যাটারিটা দুবার অ্যাক্ট করছে না। So one battery is supplying the current in the clockwise direction. Same notation cannot be used for the current which is flowing in the anti-clockwise direction. That means epsilon induced is changing its polarity also. এটার polarity চেঞ্জ করছে, সেটাকেও টেক কেয়ার করতে হবে ইন দ্য প্লটিং। ওকে, এই প্লটিংটা অ্যাকচুয়াল ছিল, এটা প্লট করতে হতো।